manatee, I see nature out there. I see a very strange animal that God's put on this earth. It's unique.
They've been part of this ecosystem for many more millions of years than humans have actually inhabited this planet.
Manatees are almost bizarre in their features, and they're mesmerizing as well. So it was so nice to be able to learn more about them and also learn about the people that are looking to preserve them. It's deeply unsettling hearing about 15% of the population disappearing, and seeing their bones really added to the impact of that. So to also get insight into the scientific community and the ecological community of how they're trying to revive that population and protect them was really affirming. And I always love to hear about the interventions that happen through science and technology and ecology of how to maintain this symbiotic relationship, especially with how integral manatees are to the entire animal food chain.
And to the Save the Manatee movement when I was in elementary school and middle school. So I knew a lot of the information already, but I think you presented it in a really interesting way, because I think not a lot of people know about how badly manatees are like actively losing their habitat. So I think this was really informative, and you really lean in on this emotional pull, because it is really, really sad what's happening to these creatures with no natural enemies. Like it's really insane. So I want to thank you for bringing light to that. I think it was shot really, really well. It was incredibly informative. Like I said, you really brought the emotional pull to it, which really draws in the audience and makes them want to learn more and act on it, and pushes that call to action a little bit easier. Really interesting piece, shot very, very well. I'm all for the cause, and I think it was really, really well done.
Learning more about this particular like manatee habitat and how many manatees actually live there and exist there and what's happening was really interesting to learn about, but also just shows like the detrimental effect that like changing one thing, which is like the quality of water essentially, can have such a ridiculous huge impact to like things we wouldn't even consider. Because if you change the quality of water, you kill a seagrass. If you kill a seagrass, manatees have nothing to eat. Manatees have nothing to eat, they're going to starve to death. Like, and it's just all kind of comes back to this one thing. And without helping correct the seagrass, or not the seagrass, helping correct the water quality, you can't begin to right that, because you can't plant seagrass in polluted water. It's not going to grow. You're not going to get anywhere. So I think learning that like if you try and fix just one thing, the ripple effect can also have like the good spiraling effects as instead of the bad spiraling effects. So if you like change the water quality, so many of these things would change, and so many of these things would start to turn into like the positive cycle instead of the negative spiral.
The manatee population has decreased 15% since 2020, a mammal who has existed far longer than the humans. Our lifespan is 65 years. We get hit with this impact when we start short at the manatee graveyard. What was a place once filled with life is now wreaked in death. They show how much the environment has changed in just a 10-year time span. They have come to be malnourished, and most of them starve to death. It's depressing to see this dead baby manatee like lying on the beach. This is a piece about simply helping out and saving the manatees, providing the education and tools to bring solutions to these issues, trying to clean the water and plant vegetation to provide better quality to their livelihood.
And just to learn throughout this documentary how much they've suffered in the last few years, just alone, since 2020. It was really depressing and really sad, especially when they had these videos of these beautiful manatees juxtaposed with shots of just the sludge and the disgusting pollution that's coming from the cities and just absolutely devastating these environments and these seagrass. So yeah, that was really, really sad to see, really effective, but depressing all the same. I did love the hope that we had at the end and the call to action to take care of our home. I thought that was really important and showed how important a film this is to bring awareness to this problem.
This is a wonderful piece. I'm from Florida, so I remember the manatees. I remember learning about them as a kid. I know there was a lot of hyper awareness about the manatee population in Florida, and there was a lot about boaters, being safe in the water, taking safety measures to ensure that they weren't going to injure and kill manatees. That was kind of like the main focus that I remember when I was a kid. Now in this piece here, we're seeing about how the environment is eroding and it's killed off 15% of the population in the last few years. And that's extremely sad to me. Like there's this fella in the beginning of the piece, he says, it's this wonderful and extremely strange animal that God has put on this earth. And they are very strange animals, and they're just wonderful for that reason, extremely unique. So I love manatees. So I was glad to see this piece.
It's just so heartbreaking to learn yet another story of how humans are destroying through pollution and neglect. But this film brings hope as several scientists at Riverside Conservancy are working tirelessly to turn this over and guarantee a safe, healthy ecosystem for manatees to thrive. They just give adorable footage from manatee families as well underwater in their habitat, just being themselves, and it's just so sad to understand the statistics. And just to put this in perspective, I don't know, I'm so glad to see conservancies like this and people interested in our ecosystems just fighting this good fight, and I am glad to know and understand their efforts are giving positive results.